Okay, so let's take a look at this Venn diagram here. We're going to deal with quadrilaterals and their properties. So a general quadrilateral, nothing special about the sides. We represent by this section here. Trapezoids have exactly one pair of parallel sides. Parallelograms both pairs of sides parallel. Means parallel. So both side pairs are parallel on a parallelogram. Let's see, a rectangle is a parallelogram. Both sides are parallel, but a rectangle has a right angle. And it's a parallelogram with a right angle. That means all the angles are right. And that causes diagonals to bisect each other. So we got opposite sides parallel, opposite sides congruent, over in this other section, we have the rhombuses. So in a rhombus, all sides congruent, and opposite sides parallel. Well, that's because it's a parallelogram. The diagonals are perpendicular bisectors. Diagonals are perpendicular bisectors of each other, and diagonals bisect the angles. And then the overlap of the rectangles and the rhombuses we call the squares. So the squares are rectangles. They have a right angle, and the diagonals bisect each other. They're also rhombuses because all sides are congruent, and the diagonals are perpendicular bisectors, and also the diagonals bisect the angles. So we have trapezoids, one pair of parallel sides. Within the trapezoids, we have isosceles trapezoids. We could do another Venn diagram. There's another circle here. These are isosceles trapezoids. And these have congruent diagonals. The diagonals in an isosceles trapezoid are congruent, and the base angles and the top base angles are congruent. So those are the properties that isosceles trapezoids have. So trapezoids, exactly one pair of parallel sides. Isosceles trapezoids also exactly one pair of parallel sides, but in addition, the diagonals are congruent to each other, and then those the base angles are congruent, and then by same side interior, you can get the top angles with the other base congruent also. Now, if you have a parallelogram, both pairs of opposite sides are congruent and parallel to each other, and opposite angles are congruent. So we need opposite angles congruent. And that's what we got for parallelograms. Now, a rectangle is a parallelogram, so all this stuff holds, except in addition, a rectangle has right angles, and the diagonals bisect each other. In a rhombus is a parallelogram, so all this stuff holds. But in addition, In a rhombus, all the sides are congruent, and the diagonals are perpendicular bisectors of each other, and diagonals are angle bisectors. The squares, then, are both rhombuses and rectangles. So a square has a right angle, the diagonals bisect, all sides are congruent, the diagonals are perpendicular bisectors, and the diagonals bisect the angles, the angles that they go to.